Whispers from the Forgotten Book. Chapter 1. Echoes of the Damned. Alex's trek through the dense, oppressive forest was like a journey through a forgotten realm. The trees, ancient and twisted, formed a canopy so thick that it felt like twilight, even at noon. The silence was absolute, the usual forest sounds eerily absent, as if the very woods were holding their breath. As he approached the cabin, its decrepit form seemed to be more than just an abandoned structure. It was like a dormant creature, awaiting its next victim. The windows, clouded with age, resembled the vacant eyes of a corpse, and the woodwork groaned and creaked like the bones of an old man. Stepping inside, the air was stale, filled with the scent of decay and forgotten secrets. The sight of his initials, AX, carved deeply into the wooden wall, sent a cold shiver down his spine. The carvings were old, moss growing in the grooves, suggesting they had been there for years, if not decades. It was impossible, yet there it was. Exploring the cabin further, he found more haunting remnants of those who had come before him. Emily's diary, its pages filled with vibrant life that slowly twisted into darkness, sketches morphing into nightmarish visions. Thomas's manuscripts, once stories of joy and wonder, now corrupt tales, reflecting a tormented soul. The words, almost seeming to writhe on the page. A child's doll lay in the corner, its glass eye reflecting the dim light, a silent witness to unspeakable horrors. Each item in the cabin whispered tales of despair, the walls themselves seeming to groan with the weight of untold stories. As night fell, the cabin's transformation began, shadows stretching and contorting, the whispers of past occupants growing louder as if they were closing in on Alex. Chapter 2. The Vortex of Torment. The discovery of the book and the photograph was a turning point for Alex. The photograph, unnervingly showing him asleep, bore a timestamp of a date yet to come. On the back, the words, "Never alone," scrawled in a desperate hand, sent waves of terror through him. It was a promise, a curse, a sentence. The book seemed to be alive with a malevolent energy, its pages, filled with the accounts of those who had previously stayed in the cabin, were a litany of madness and despair. The writings began with hope and curiosity, but invariably descended into chaos and fear. At night, the cabin's transformation was no mere trick of the light. Shadows reached out with ethereal fingers, caressing the walls, creeping toward Alex with intent. The whispers became a chorus of the damned, a cacophony of desperate voices, each crying out for salvation or begging for an end to their suffering. Lying in the ancient bed, the room lit by the flickering candlelight, Alex felt exposed, vulnerable. The history of the cabin played out in the shadows, showing him glimpses of Emily's descent into madness, her sketches coming to life on the walls in grotesque forms, and Thomas's struggle against the voices that eventually overtook his sanity, his words echoing in the dark. Chapter 3. The Labyrinth of Despair. The nightmares that besieged Alex were a relentless assault on his psyche, vivid and inescapable. He saw the lives of Emily, Thomas, and others, each caught in their own hellish loop within the cabin. The dreams were so vivid they blurred the line between sleep and wakefulness, the horrors of the night bleeding into the day. Upon waking, Alex found the book open to new entries, descriptions of events that hadn't yet happened, conversations he hadn't yet had, all penned in his handwriting. It was as if the book was not only recording his stay, but scripting it, guiding him toward an unknown, terrifying end. The cabin itself grew increasingly oppressive. The walls began to exude a dark, viscous liquid that was both blood and shadow, dripping down in slow, thick rivulets. The windows, once showing the forest outside, now displayed other, more horrifying vistas, landscapes of eternal night, where twisted silhouettes roamed under a blood-red moon, realms that defied the laws of physics and sanity. Chapter 4. The Realm of Shadows. Reality and nightmare became indistinguishable for Alex. The forest outside transformed into an extension of the cabin's malevolence, a maze that mirrored his deepest fears and darkest memories. The trees seemed to whisper his name, their leaves rustling with a language that twisted his thoughts, urging him deeper into despair. The book's influence was unyielding, its presence inescapable. It whispered to Alex, its voice a constant companion in his mind, urging him to embrace the darkness, to perform ancient rituals that promised power, but led only to further descent into madness. The cabin itself seemed to be an active participant in his torment, its structure warping and shifting in impossible ways, floors undulating underfoot, walls bending inward, creating a disorienting, claustrophobic maze. The faces of Emily, Thomas, and other victims, tormented souls who had fallen before him, began to appear in the black ichor oozing from the walls. Their expressions were twisted in agony, their eyes filled with an unspeakable terror, as if pleading with Alex to save them, or to join them in their eternal torment. The photograph of Alex, now resembling a decaying corpse, served as a grotesque mirror, reflecting the decay of his own sanity. Chapter 5. The Gateway Unveiled. Alex's attempt to destroy the book marked the climax of his ordeal. In an act of desperation, he threw it into the fireplace, but the cabin's response was immediate and terrifying. The walls shattered, not into pieces, but into fragments of reality, revealing a vast, endless void beyond. This abyss was not empty, but populated with the souls of those who had fallen prey to the cabin's curse. The book revealed itself as a conduit to a realm beyond human comprehension, a dimension of pure, unadulterated horror. It hovered in the center of the room, its pages flapping wildly in the still air as if mocking Alex's attempts to destroy it. The void whispered promises of forbidden knowledge, secrets of the universe, but these whispers were laced with madness, the spectral figures reaching out with cold, despairing touches, each trying to drag Alex into their eternal nightmare. Chapter 6. The Cycle Eternal. Escape proved to be an illusion. The forest around the cabin led Alex in relentless circles, each path returning him to the nightmarish portal of the cabin. The photograph, now showing a skull with his features, served as a grim reminder of his inescapable fate. In his final moments of clarity, Alex understood the horrifying truth. He was not just a victim of the cabin. He had become an integral part of its consciousness, a pawn in its malevolent game. His memories, his fears, were now woven into the very fabric of the cabin, destined to lure the next victim into this cycle of horror. The story concludes with a chilling foreboding. Somewhere, another unsuspecting individual finds a photograph of themselves and the sinister book, unwittingly stepping into the same cursed cycle that consumed Alex.